pretty interesting. 7:19. Let's jump into the Zoom room here with Minority Leader Senator Chris Duenas. We have a bunch of senators coming through this morning, but we'll start with Senator Duenas and the Minority Report. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Chris and Bree and Jason. Wow, what a week we're having, huh?
Well, yeah, just FYI, they've already spent about what, like 12, 13 million in ARP funds.
Millions.
And the governor has scrapped the RISE Act law, and she's going to be doing her All Rise. And the $30 million cap is still in place. In case you might have missed it, there was a lot that happened yesterday.
Excellent work KUM's been doing and making headlines and actually making it easier for us, Chris and Bree. You definitely got the information out yesterday, and it looks like maybe you've created an environment where there will be better communication and more information sharing now that we know that ARP spending is underway. It'll be interesting to see what quarantine payment that was. I'd like to see the invoice on that. It was interesting to say that 11 million was spent for that, given the fact that CARES Act was carrying that for the longest time. And the discussion of anticipated reimbursement, so I'd like to see what procurement that's for, whether it's the current facility or a prior facility. I think that might be an interesting story.
Well, the spending report, right? The first report is due to Treasury, I believe Mr. Burns said was August 31st. But, you know,
right.
It's just interesting to see that we got, I don't know, Mr. Burns was confirmed that, yeah, they spent the money, and you guys have been asking about it, and, you know.
It's just weird that they spent it without telling anybody. I mean, I'm not going to say you lied, but you just didn't tell anybody. I mean, you stick your finger in the air, and everyone's crying about what are we going to spend this money on, and they spent it, and it was just interesting to me that they didn't tell anybody. It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, that is weird. I mean, this whole thing's been under wraps, right, for the longest time, and we can't tell you, and then we're spending money, right? It really just, it seems, and then, you know, going into the RISE Act, I think that's why the people are probably going to become more increasingly frustrated, because all this discussion on spending, and you did some detailed work to find out that you could spend on the quarantine. Obviously you've done, you know, particularly if you want to spend money, you're making the effort. But when it comes to this situation, and you know, I got a solution for the governor as well. You know, go ahead and veto the bills and send us back, and then we'll only override one of them, and then you don't have to make a decision anymore. But you know, I think that I think really. Even that excuse, I stand with the speaker, you know, pay it now. It's like the goalpost keeps moving. Now it's September 1 for the application. You know, we're treating this thing like we're trying to, you know, get to Mars. You know? It's rocket science, right? And I just don't think it's that. And so I think we need to continue to keep the pressure up and find out really what's behind this, you know, and that. You have an EO in place already. You can amend the EO. You don't need a brand new EO or scrap it all together. But, you know, we'll continue to do the cat and mouse thing. But the fact of the matter to me is that it's not rocket science. I stand with the speaker. I love her statement that, you know, you're accusing the legislature of trying to get credit and playing games. And the fact is, immediately after you say that, you know, that's the situation, you go into this, you know, discussion of how you've saved the people with $1.5 billion of federal money. I mean, it's your job, right? It's your job. It's a pass-through. I mean, you know, if you went out there and created a program where we got $1.5 billion because of your ingenuity, I'll take that. But if you're taking federal dollars intended to help the people and passing it through, it's a little bit tough to stand on the mountaintop and say, I did this for you. Once again, let's continue to give credit to the people. That's where it belongs. But on this budget, you know, I got to say that here we go again, right? With this budget, no time in the history of the government of Guam has any governor been able to craft a budget while having a $6 million savings account right next to you. And that's what we're looking at. And that's exactly why we've asked for details in this budget, because it is going to affect how we budget. I respectfully disagree with my good friend Joe that Senator Augustine, that our job is to pass this budget and does not affected by the ARP. Here's the reason why it is, Chris and Bree, is because if one of the first things that any governor does when you pass the budget is they send a circular out that will put a restriction of between 5 to 15% a hold on money to make sure that they can control spending. In this situation where you have ARP that you can use at will, they don't have to have any fiscal discipline. Basically, you're like, whatever we fall short, we just go to the savings account, pull it over, and make sure the budget. This will probably be, if we do it right, the first real balanced budget in the government of Guam, because you have this ability to take care of shortfalls. If revenues aren't tracking on GRT, if the income tax is not tracking, if special funds are not tracking, you have the ability to adjust that with a savings account. So it does have a big effect, and them disclosing to us what they're going to use the funds for really is important, because that directly affects the appropriation levels and directly affects also in terms of monies available for appropriation. So it's just not true that the ARP does not affect what we do. But I know that members of the minority have some excellent amendments that are prepared, and so we'll move forward with that. And I also disagree with putting all these large funding sources in for the hospital and some other things in the budget bill. I think those should be debated as standalone issues, and so I have some reservations about that as well.
I mean, Senator, there's nothing stopping the governor from, even with the fact that she has the authority over the ARP, there's nothing stopping her from saying, yeah, let's go ahead and do a budget, guys. We got the $600 million. Let's put it here. Let's put it there. This is what we're going to do, working together. I mean, there's nothing, absolutely nothing stopping her from doing that.
Right. And once again, guys, the thing is that we got to make sure, because the people of Guam expected this $600 million to benefit not just the government and the government services being provided to the people. They expected direct assistance like the RISE Act. They expect other things that we plan to do with that funding. So you got to make sure that the government continues to exercise fiscal discipline, so you're not taking any more resources than you need from the $600 million, because that really should go into the private sector. That should go into programs like the legislatures discussed, like making sure we can take care of Chamorro land trusts, get those lands surveyed and get infrastructure in there so we can help with affordable housing. There's things that the people of Guam want from this as well. And so when we make sure that everything is taken care of, and I understand the critical services, public safety, our hospital, education. It looks like the education budget is not the greatest, but it looks like it will do its job for what Superintendent Fernandez and the board asked for. Don't remove our maintenance of effort. Don't drop our budget so that we could possibly lose our federal funds. So there's some good stuff in here. But the thing is that, I think the people of Guam, if traditionally we would have a reserve to make sure that we don't overspend, then we should have that reserve in place still, not just lift all caps because of the fact that, we've got this savings account. The people of Guam want us to use that money in the best possible way.
Right, yeah. Let's bring on Senator Teletaitagui.
Good morning.
Good morning, Senator.
Good morning.
Good morning. Right on.
Jason, Chris, and everyone, and to my colleagues, Senator Duenas, and to the KUAM listeners this morning.
What cracked me up in that press conference yesterday was, I didn't even ask the governor if she was compassionate. I just was confused because there was a couple media that said, hey, what are we doing with the All Rise, what's the deal? And her answer kind of confused me because it's been so confusing. Senator, you said it's like we're trying to get to Mars, but I would say it's like we're trying to get to Mars, but first we're going to go to Uranus, and then we're going to go to Saturn, and then we're going to go to Jupiter, and we're going to get all this runaround before we even land on Mars. Because this has been going on since January. The governor is acting like this is a new issue. It's not. You had since January to pay this thing out. The AG looked at it. He said it's fine. The eligibility's cool. Go pay it. She didn't do it. And so now we're in this situation. Yeah, it's just nuts. So anyway, I'd asked her to clarify what she was going to do, and it just ended up being this they say we're not compassionate. We're compassionate. We're passionate. But then it was funny because she was like, wait, when does the PUA end again? We care about you guys. Wait, when are those people going to be off that PUA thing? When is that? September or what? Huh, Crystal, when's that? September? Yeah, they're going to be off it in September. Get a job, you bum. But we're going to give you this money, maybe. I mean, she said that it was supposed to be a cushion to carry people from PUA. I mean, we're talking about $800, Gov. Quit being tight. These people need this money in January.
Well, you got to remember, too, that she mentioned she was already spending some of the ARP money in May. You know, she started utilizing that money. And that was the time she goes, oh, we want to make sure we pay this out, you know, in a timely fashion, but responsibly. I mean, all you have to do is look at our neighbor in CNMI. You know, they were issuing out this funding out a lot sooner than May. You know, they were pumping this money out to the people where it's really needed to be done, you know, give to the people. And that's all we were saying too. And it was ironic that she mentions that the legislature, never in my life as a senator have I ever seen two conflicting bills. Well, never in anyone's life have we seen a budget coming up that also has an additional $600 million standing in the wings to be spent as well. That's unprecedented. You know, and then, so there's a lot of things that are changing. We just gave her an option. Which route would she like to take? We all know that she created another program called All Rise, you know, and now it sounds like she's scrapping that. She's scrapping the legislature's recommendation in the 35th Guam legislature when Senator Regine Bisco Lee proffered this Rise Act, and now I think it sounds like she's going to scratch that and create her own. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this one's called the All In Act, you know. I'm not. So, Sabrina.
You know what? Adelup just heard that. They're
I'm
like,
so
you know
glad
what?
I
That
could make you
that
guys
is.
laugh.
We're going with that. I want
I'm
it
so surprised
all
I
in.
didn't think of that. What?
Yeah, I want it to be all in. Never mind the all rise, Daphne. Never mind the all rise. We're gonna be all in, guys.
The All In Act. No, I mean, you know, you guys, I'm so glad that I can make you guys laugh. I mean, you guys always take the heat. And Chris, I swear, I've never heard you be so nice asking a question during that press conference yesterday. And boom, you just got attacked, you know, because this is the station where you get, you know, the reality checks are in, the hard questions are asked, you know, and she knew that whenever it comes to you or Sabrina asking the questions, it's going to be questions that people want to know.
But they're not even hard though, Senator. It's like basic questions that, you know, I don't get it. It's like, are you just too busy to be governor and answer questions or what? And what gets me is like, I'm not crazy. We're just asking the obvious questions that we think people want to know. And so the minute I start asking a question, I got Crystal Paco San Augustine breathing down my neck, like trying to grab the mic, like, give me that. I don't know what he's going to. And I'm like, hold on. You guys muted the media. They were routinely just trying to cut off reporters during these press conferences. Like, you didn't learn from that? I mean, we hardly get the gov. You just drop these huge bombs, and then you don't want us to ask questions about it. And then when you get senators who send FOIA requests, I'm going to go ahead and read this statement out here.
I thought that was priceless. Yes, please.
So, I mean, this is the point that we're at, ladies and gentlemen, is that these senators, they can't get the time of day from Adelup, and they have to send FOIA requests, which to me is just, I mean, in the spirit of cooperation, I don't get it, you know. And this release came out attributed to the communications director, Crystal Paco San Augustine, which to me, this statement is kind of like, they took her training wheels off, you know what I mean? I would love to see them let her run. You know, in these instances where the governor is too busy to answer questions, let's put Crystal Paco San Augustine up there. Like, what's her name? Biden's? Jen Psaki or something. Yeah, you know how Jen Psaki sits there and answers all the questions? They should do that. I mean, can't you see that people need to know things? The media needs to know things so that we can report it out to the people. And so Senator Moylan has sent these FOIA requests, and they were talking specifically about the one he sent to DOA Director Ed Byrne, which was basically saying, hey, where's this ARP money? Which account is it in? La, 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 la. And even if if they felt Senator Moylan didn't, like, adhere to the FOIA parameters or whatever, they could have still noted the intent of his request and easily provided the information. But they didn't do that. Instead, we get the communications director with this statement. There is a fundamental misunderstanding on the part of the senator regarding what a FOIA request is and what the government's obligations are in responding to such requests. These are document requests, not interrogatories. This is such a basic, well-litigated area of the law that it's shocking that a sitting senator is not intimately familiar with its limitations. To the extent the senator is in earnest seeking production of documents, he is welcome to submit a proper FOIA request and DOA will properly respond. To the extent the senator believes that FOIA somehow gives him free license to pose philosophical questions about the propriety of executive branch spending, there's a process by which he can attempt to test his theory in court. Wow. Senator Moylan's actions need to be acknowledged for what they more likely are, a thinly veiled attempt to abuse the FOIA process to shout political views into the public sphere and bully hard-working government agencies into responding in the name of transparency. These questions are beneath the dignity of this administration to respond to, and frankly, they should be beneath the dignity of this senator to ask. In a climate of fake news, the senator creates fake work.
Mic drop. I guess. Holy moly, this is like, you know.
I mean, the guy's just asking for information, and
obviously she doesn't want to give it. It's just short and simple. You know, why don't you just save some ink, you know, and just say, no, I'm not going to answer your question, period. Yeah. But, you know, to insult any of the senators, you know, coming forward to ask for any kind of questions, this is not, you know, collaboration. This is not working together. That, I mean, if you count how many times she said, we're working together like Joe and Augustine, but, you know, it's like,
only Joe is working together.
Joe and Augustine, just Joe?
Only Joe, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it takes 8 to vote that bill through.
Yeah.
It's going to take 8 of us, not just one person, you know. And I agree with Senator Duenas when he mentioned about, you know, incorporating in the budget bill, you know, her pet projects or anybody's pet projects that's using EITC money. That's ridiculous. It's like using a credit card and like you don't have the money to pay for it right now, but we're going to use our credit card and we're going to buy this. Not only that, we're going to buy something we don't even know how we're going to set up. It doesn't come with instructions or anything like that, so we're just going to buy it anyways and cross our fingers. You know, this is very irresponsible. She talks about we want to pay the people in a timely fashion, but, you know, be fiscally responsible. Well, this responsibility also comes with her pet project, which I'm probably the most advocate when it comes to building a new hospital. I mean, in 2018 when I ran, it was all about that. I introduced legislation that created the hospital task force to build a hospital. You know, I truly believe that we do need one. You know, Army Corps of Engineers even mentioned that the longevity left over in this hospital is about 5 more years. So now is the time that we start planning, but that's the whole point. Where is the plan? We're just supposed to give her a blank check and, you know, build a hospital. The whole trip, she went on to Washington and the other areas. And she made it clear yesterday, everybody knows my priority is the hospital. Well, what happened to the people of Guam and the situation they're in right now, this day? If the priority was the hospital, then a plan should have be brought to the legislature for us to see step by step, how are we going to build this hospital? What's going to be, how many beds are going to be needed? Who's going to manage this? Nothing has been brought to our attention on this. But yet, this is the opportunity to help our people now, to provide the funding they need, you know, the support they need. She explaining PUA, which she, I'm sure, wasn't sure when it was gonna end. She had to ask, you know, I mean, was it the Post or one of the media is actually putting a count as to when PUA is gonna end. You know, it's just so sad that, you know, that whole effort in Washington, D.C. was spent on finding a way to use ARP money to pay for the hospital. I agree that's very important, very important. But right now we have a crisis and a situation on our island that needs to be addressed right now with our people. And they've been calling out, and the legislature has been doing everything possible to give her options, to push the envelope. And I even said on the legislative floor that, technically, she thinks this is inorganic, what we're doing here. Well, she let lapse into law the first opportunity for the legislature to create a bill that would allow her to use her federal funding, and she let it lapse in law. In fact, the act, the RISE Act, she let it lapse in law. So we're continuing to push that envelope to let her know that we are hearing it from our constituents calling us up, that they can't pay for their rent, that they don't have enough food to put on their table. This is the opportunity to have more food banks out there, to continue to provide assistance. That's what this ARP money is supposed to be used for. That's the main reason. You got an infrastructure bill that I heard was just passed, by the Senate, to use on buildings and infrastructure. But the ARP money was used to help and support those who've been affected by COVID, who've lost their jobs. So, she keeps claiming to all this $1 billion coming into the economy. It sounded like it was her money. It wasn't even hers. I agree with Senator Duenas. I too stand behind the speaker's letter, her response to this. It makes total sense. So, and point blank, I really appreciate that press release coming from her, straightforward, but, it's just frustrating. We're going into budget, and I just wanted to state one more thing. The governor mentioned, which I was happy to hear, that any shortfall in the budget or in 2021, that she stands ready to use ARP funding. Okay, so it's recorded online to use that funding. But of course, it's still her discretion. It's at my discretion,
The pronouns.
I
Okay.
mean, are you guys really anticipating that DRT and BBMR and DOA are going to show up and give you guys information on ARP?
They're going to be beautifully politically spoken and not answer our questions. Probably not. Everything's, either I will get back to you, which they never get back to you. We should just all pause, not all rise, but all pause and wait for the end to come.
We're going to take a pause right now, Senators. If you could, we got to take a break, a little behind here, and we're coming back. I think we're getting Senator Moylan in the mix, too, right here on the link at 7:41. Good morning.
KUAM Digital presents a series highlighting the wide array of talents on our island. Whether they're a standout gamer, extreme athlete, performer, or have a unique skill to show off, we're showcasing them every month on Wow Factor. Brought to you by Mountain Dew. Do the do.
KUAM TV has been on the air for 65 years. 65 years of growing, changing, and adapting to the needs of our local community. 65 years of making you smile, laugh, and cheer, and being there for you in times of tears and heartbreak, and learning to heal together. We've kept you on the edge of your seats, been a trusted source for you to turn to, weathered many storms together, and celebrated life's big moments. And now at 65, we celebrate all the firsts we brought you over the years, and all the firsts that lie ahead as our world changes. KUAM TV, celebrating 65 years of firsts on Guam.
Guam was once home to over 12 native species of forest birds, each with their own unique sound, color, and role to play in our ecosystem. However, the arrival of the brown tree snake has threatened their existence. Today, only 3 of these species still exist in the wild. But what was once lost can be restored. Join the Department of Agriculture's efforts to restore our ecosystem It is only through partnerships with various organizations and the community that we can give our native birds a future. Support snake suppression.
Do you feel like you're missing out on something? Make life more rewarding with Pacific Points. Earn and redeem points for bill rebates and free load at IT&E, discounts on fuel at Shell, vouchers at Foodies, and United Mileage Plus miles. You can even pay with Pacific Points at IT&E, Shell, and Foodies. Pacific Points. Do more, get more.
KUAM's multi-platform morning show, The Link, just got a little more delicious with Feed Me Fridays. Chris, Sabrina, Jason, and the rest of the morning crew will take some time off each Friday to talk, taste, and tempt you with all the latest and greatest food and drinks on Guam. Old faves, new hits, and everything else we can put in our bellies. It's Feed Me Fridays on The Link, brought to you by King's Restaurants, Ruby Tuesday Guam, and Devondale.
June makes the best malasadas in Hawaii, a fact not lost on Daryl, whose brother Byron is cooking the onaga he caught at his secret fishing spot with his girlfriend Malia, who used to work for the Shave Ice Guy, whose second cousin Vince drives the school bus ridden by Calais, whose auntie makes the best malasadas in Hawaii. Everything here is connected, and with the new First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, you can stay just as connected to your finances, and it all starts with yes.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's, offers fully covered loading and unloading area with individual pin-coded gate and door access. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Get the job done the right way by getting the right stuff at East West Rental Center. With years of experience helping builders, we definitely got what you need. Call 646-1463 or visit us in Upper Tumon. Open Monday to Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
The relationship between Guam and Manila, Philippines is undeniable as we share similar cultural traditions, history, and heritage. With generations of Filipinos calling Guam home, KUAM presents a monthly look at the capital city featuring in-depth and engaging interviews on everything from medical tourism to new business and government leaders. Veteran newscaster Nestor Lecanto delivers Beyond Our Borders. This special program is brought to you by KFC and the Medical City, where patients are partners.
The world of television is more exciting than ever. Don't miss a minute of special presentations from NBC on KUAM TV8 or from CBS on KUAM TV11. Every month, we'll bring you the fun and excitement of award shows and red carpet moments, special series presentations, and other great network programs. Brought to you locally by King's Restaurant, Ruby Tuesday Guam, Bud Light Seltzer, and Docomo Pacific, giving you more reasons to tune in and turn on. Fall in love with TV again with the best from KUAM Communications.
Hey, welcome back to the Link, 747. Back into the Zoom room we go, where we're now joined by the big senator who has a target on his open season when they send a communications director after you, Senator Moylan.
Isn't that nice? Yeah, I appreciate that.
Shaking in your boots or what?
Yeah.
Good morning.
I might do a FOIA seminar later. I don't know if you want to join in on that.
That would be nice, yeah. Maybe we can do some slides also and a little checklist on how exactly we should be asking our questions.
But at the end, I'm still looking forward to the response from Director Byrne, and we also sent a request to the Chief of Staff, John Jr. Calvo, as well. So we got some sort of a response from Adelup, but that's not who I wrote. I wrote the two directors, and I'm awaiting their reply.
Yeah, that was interesting that Crystal Pacos and Augustine chimed in when she wasn't even in the loop for the FOIA. But I did ask her to come on here this morning because you were coming on, and I wanted to see if, maybe there. I actually wanted to make peace between you guys, but I didn't get a response. Nice. So I did try, though. The opportunity is always there, and we always say this. Anytime the governor wants to come on or anybody from Adelup, we welcome it. I mean, I think it's sorely needed. Our audience really needs to hear from them. So the invitation is always open all the time. I mean, I gave up asking the governor. The last time I asked Crystal if we could get the governor on, she said she would check on it and then never responded again. So, but I think, Senator, if they're allowed to go after you in that fashion, then I think that kind of means that they're maybe being told, or maybe not even being told, that, certain media, we don't engage with them or whatever. So that's the problem I have, is that I don't think that this adds anything to this conversation. I'm not sure what the purpose of the statement in response to you was. Like, what purpose did it serve other than for Adelup to sit around and go, yeah, that was a good one. Oh, yeah, you told him, huh? It just doesn't seem productive, right? And whether or not you know how to write a FOIA, if they knew the spirit of what you're asking for, they could have easily totally said, yeah, this is the info you want. By the way, learn how to write a FOIA.
Right, exactly. And I think my other colleagues have probably written FOIAs before too, and the reply you get back is, it's not answering your question, our questions, right, across the board, Democrats or Republicans. So we just help spell it out a little bit clearer. And whatever document you want to get and reply to the questions of let's see a copy of your spending plan there from John Jr. or from Mr. Byrne there. So tell me, where are the federal monies deposited? You want to show me a bank deposit slip? Then okay, reply that way. If you deposited, so how much was deposited? If you want to show me again your banking slip, all right. Or you can just simply say the amount of money included. Was it into the trust or was it into the regular bank? That's the other question too. Again, you want to show me a document, or you just want to reply back? And what is the fees associated with that? I'm sure they must have signed some sort of contract, and I'm also wondering if an RFP was put out as well. So simple questions. You can reply with a document, or you can reply with just making a statement and reply back in a letter form. I don't mind. I'm not a stickler for the procedures, and I don't think that was the intent of the FOIA law anyway. It's just to have an open government so that we can discuss things. And plus, FOIA is not just limited to senators writing to the governor. It's anyone. A citizen can write something. Is that the reply we're going to give a citizen if they're going to request information from the governor? I sure hope not. And that was an example that we've seen from Adelup, and disappointing, but I'm still looking forward to the reply coming back from our Chief of Staff and also from our Director, Mr. Byrne.
Just with respect to the FOIA request sent to Mr. Byrne, I didn't really see that there was a request for documents, so I can see why Crystal kind of responded that way, or well, not that way, but do you plan on submitting now another FOIA request, specifically requesting those documents, deposit slips, things like that you referenced?
What we could do if that's so important for them, because maybe they get audited on how FOIAs are asked before they're allowed to respond to it. I can probably do an Exhibit A attached to this letter dated August 9th to say in the form of this form, Provide documents in reply to question 2. Provide documents in reply to question 3 and question 4.
Senator, I send FOIAs where you send it over to the agency, and if there's something problematic with it, they'll call and they'll be like, hey, what were you trying to get here? Or, you said this or that, or, oh, this was dated there. I mean, a lot of times, the line agencies, and this is not just under this administration, even under former Governor Calvo, a lot of these times the line agencies will, if they're being transparent and nothing to hide, they'll walk you through like exactly what you're trying to get. But to me, the point that Adelup is missing is because they were just so overzealous to bash on you, and that's kind of like the problem I have is that, the speaker had asked the governor to come down to the legislature, and the governor was like, oh, that's an unusual request. And so you guys can't get answers from anybody. So of course you're going to send a FOIA, in the way, however you want to ask the questions. But it's just frustrating when they spend that much energy coming out and, taking a big dump on your head, when it's just not productive. And I don't really see the point of it, when they could have easily said, hey, this is what you want to know, fine. Because the questions you're asking, I don't know if these guys go out and talk to real people, but everybody is saying that the governor isn't spending the money because it's sitting in her bank gaining interest or whatever. People have said that, someone repeated it, and now it's accepted as fact. So they should read the room and realize that people have an issue. We saw this audit with a public auditor. There was a conflict in the governor's former legal counsel who had worked for the bank, now trying to get procurement for a hotel that had a loan with the bank. So people already see these kind of conflicts that pop up, and Adelup should read the room and be like, okay, let's go ahead and put to rest this whole issue with where the money is in the bank. It's so easy to get out of this situation. You just answer the question. You don't, being transparent, it's not attacking the people who are asking for information. It's just giving the information.
Well said, Chris, and I appreciate you asking that question at yesterday's press conference as well. And you had to assert yourself too before they cut you off. And that's what we're seeing happening to our request as well. And my colleagues, in addition, we've all asked these questions before, and it's been said, it's too bad it comes down to a FOIA when they could just have answered the question. Disappointing, but that's how this administration operates. And that's not true leadership. I don't agree with at all that type of leadership, and that's how you're responding to the co-equal branch of government who are speaking for our constituents. And there's more than 3 of us here. There's a total of 15 of us that are all asking these questions too. And the speaker has represented this body as well, requesting for the governor to come on down, and has basically had the same reply we all get, to include the media, unless you ask the right questions that they're willing to reply to. But once those questions aren't in their game plan, then you get this lofty platitudes coming on back to us that have no answer to these questions that the public is asking. So, well said, Chris.
It was just unprofessional.
Totally.
I kind of was taken aback. She really wrote this?
I don't think she wrote it. That's not her writing style. I've read so many of her writing. It's not at all.
But, Senator, you did get a kind of somewhat of a response to question 2 in your FOIA request to John Jr. Calvo, the Chief of Staff, regarding a breakdown of how much money has been spent in ARP money. And the governor responded that it was, I think, an estimated $12 million had been spent: quarantine, isolation, bereavement grants, and a couple other things. Were you kind of surprised, or did you kind of already know, oh, you knew that they had spent some of this money?
The hunch was there. We just needed some confirmation. And that's what should come out, if especially with OFP. They need to know this information too. If we're going to do a budget and we're expected to use the general fund to bail out the quarantine area, that would have been scary. But help us, just reply. So the hunch was there, yes, Bree, but there was at least some confirmation, and that comes from the confirmation for the questions you folks drilled into and and put the governor on the spot because she basically has refused to be open with the legislature, and we can confirm that, especially when we start this session today at 2 o'clock with committee as a whole on the budget and expecting we don't know what in reply to our questions to the directors that Mr. Byrne referred to, that he won't answer your questions yesterday, Bree, but he says, I'll wait till I get to the legislature. So I think my colleagues are anxious to ask some of the questions to Mr. Byrne that we've been waiting for answers since this money has arrived on millions of dollars as tall as Mount Lamlam. So let's see if we can get to the bottom of the pile and get these questions answered.
Yeah, but I mean, seriously, you really think you're going to get an answer at 2 o'clock this afternoon on ARP money?
More games, really.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, and we need to pass the budget at the end of the month, and it shouldn't be this way. But we're going to keep on plugging on, and like we did today, we were talking earlier about the Bill 75 and 164. We gave the governor 2 options, and she threw them both, basically throwing it both back at us. We can probably override on one and send it back to her, but she keeps on punting it back and forth. We already made the decision, and here's the best options. You have your executive authority to make your executive order. You can make that change today. Here's a cheat sheet. Why don't you just copy what we sent you and do something productive for the people and eliminate these long lines and eliminate any further comments about first come, first serve, and there's a cap. Well, there's no cap anymore. As long as you sign one of them into law, or you don't even have to wait, Governor. You can just do your executive order and remove that. Disappointing, but that's the leadership we have.
Yeah, it is. We're out of time here, but agree totally that it is very... Well, there's a comment here from Mary, writes, very unprofessional. I agree, Chris. I wonder if she was told to write that verbiage. It's very disrespectful, and from what I know in my encounters with Crystal, I'm very surprised, and I hope that she was told to write this. Shame on this leadership. And we'll leave it there. It's 8 o'clock. Senators, thank you. I know you guys got a session. Good luck. Take your Tylenol.
Thank you.
Or maybe hit the punching bag a little bit before. Yeah, okay, Senator. Okay.
Create a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Right on. We got to send them some stress balls.
Yeah.
Huh?
And
It's
then while we're at it, like, how to write a FOIA.
Yeah, a little FOIA pointer. Just started with any and all documents relative to. There you go. That's your free advice. Any and all documents relative to where the hell the money is in the bank. With this, like that. Basically, if you start your FOIA with that, you can put whatever the hell you want under it. Okay, you're welcome.